Hello everybody and welcome back to another video that I have with my husband. We really like discussing topics that we both find very interesting, such as Disney, marriage, and today's segment is going to be over parenthood. I feel like me and Antonio can talk about parenting and our kids all the time, and it's just one of the things that we find ourselves talking about on the phone or in the car late at night. I thought it'd be interesting to share a take on a couple of points that I have listed on my laptop. So without further ado, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I was cracking up when you were talking because I'm just like I don't know, you're so good. It's like fluid with you.
I am.
Yeah.
So the first point that I want to talk about is how parenthood has changed us or our mindset. And do you want to go first?
Sure. Parenthood has made me just a better person, you know, and I think a better dad. More of the mindset like can't fail. Be the man that I want my kids to grow up to be. And I have to lead by example. Before, with kids, I was just kind of like doing me, but now it's like I gotta do more than just things bigger than myself.
Yeah.
I want to be a good role model to them. So
yeah,
I think that's how it changed me so far personally.
For me, my whole mindset changed, and I tell him this all the time. I didn't even know if I wanted kids before we had kids, and I never really gave it much thought. And now that we do have kids, I can't imagine life without them. I've always loved kids, I babysat and everything, but I just didn't know what time in life that would come, if ever. And I feel like it changed my mindset. Moms out there, I feel like you could relate to this. I have so much anxiety about leaving my kids. I don't know, I guess I'm more of an emotional person now, and I was already an emotional person, but I'm so sensitive when it comes to like hearing stories about kids being abused or mistreated. Like it literally makes me cry all the time. Like I feel like I could handle that stuff before. I was usually like dog movies would make me cry, but like now it's like anything to do with kids, especially like bonds with kids. And I just feel like there's never like a moment of peace. A lot of mom guilt comes with that, and I don't know if dad guilt is a thing, but like mom guilt for sure is a thing.
So
I feel like I can't be selfish.
I don't want to say I necessarily think about like guilt when I shop. I don't know why, because they come to mind automatically. I don't really ever think about myself. I don't get myself anything. I live with what I got. I'm very minimal.
He really is.
Did I take something too far today? Did I yell too much? Did I hug them? Did I tell them, you know, I'm proud of them, I love them? And I do think about those things, and when I know I didn't do like a couple of those things, because it happens. And it's not like I love you any less or anything like that, or I'm upset with you, but just, you know, there's a million other things going on that I gotta worry about, take care of. It's when I'm usually at work, driving to work or just working is when I'm thinking about everything that I did in my 2 days off. And I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I could have done that more, I could have done this with, you know, Roman or Eli or Christian. It's good to have those thoughts as long as there's some sort of result out of it, as long as you do something to better yourself forward next time. The
next point that I want to talk about is how we reflect on our own childhood now. For me, the way I reflect on my childhood, I feel like materialistic wise, I had a really good childhood. I had family that loved me, and we did take a few trips, and I always had everything I needed. I had toys and everything. It was just me and my sister. I came from a broken home. I've never met my birth father, which I've touched on my channel, so I won't get into that. And then the guy that I call my dad, and my mom, they split when I was 7 or 8. Thankfully, he still took me on the weekends with my sister. It just sucked having to do that, having to be in said broken family. And it's just the way that me and my sister's dynamic as siblings is, I just don't want my kids to have that, because me and my sister aren't close, and I wish we were, but it wasn't really instilled in us the importance of being there for your sibling. So that's something I kind of reflect on in a way, and there's just a lot of things that I want to do differently with my kids than how we were raised. I don't want to yell at my kids as much as I feel I got yelled at. Not that I won't discipline them, but that's just something that I heavily remember from my childhood.
I understand now some things, like I guess in some ways why my parents were the way they were in some situations, because
Yeah, that's a good one.
now I have kids. My parents were young when they had all of us. I think my mom was only 19 when she had me.
And he's the third out of 4 kids.
Yeah. Young parents, were you guys ready to be parents? Did you even want kids, or did it just kind of happen? I think of everything I went through, how my dad treated us, how my mom treated us. We were close as kids, my siblings and I, but as we got older, we just grew distant.
When you become a parent, you kind of realize that you really have rose-colored glasses on as a child. The world's a little brighter, it's happier, it's so much fun. And then one day they just get stripped off of you, and you see things for how they are, and you see your parents for how they are, your siblings, aunts, grandparents, and it's just kind of like,
yeah.
whoa.
My childhood, everything that I've gone through just, again, makes me want to just be a better person today. Like, I try to think about the kid mentality when I was a kid for certain things, and, you know, as an adult, there's things that my kids do that I remember doing to an extent, right? And like, I just wanted attention or my dad to play with. Never happened. So I try to, you know, reflect and go, okay, they just want fun. They just want attention. Stop what I'm doing, give it to them, you know, even though I don't want to do it. I don't.
Children really love and express love and feel loved through play.
Yes.
I feel like we've definitely come to find that. The bad behaviors, I feel like, are less when we do play with them more or give them our time more. That's what I feel anyway.
Yeah, you gotta have that time with your kids. And so I didn't have much with my parents, and I think my parents back then were more buying the love than showing it. So whether that's like food, like food is a love language, you know, so
it's our love language.
Yeah, it's our love language at least. So, but buying like McDonald's, getting those Happy Meals, getting a pizza, getting a new Game Boy, when the Game Boys came out.
Man.
You know, just like, oh, love you so much.
I mean, and at the time as a kid, it's like, wow.
Yeah, it's like, oh, my parents love me and I love you, thank you. But, you know, you don't realize what you're missing out on until you find that one person that they're like, who has the perfect family, I will say. I mean, no family's perfect, but I remember seeing a kid who was like best friends with his dad, thought it was the weirdest thing ever. Could not. I was like, that's weird. And then they thought it was weird that I wasn't. But, you know, that's just a difference in a good, healthy family relationship versus my unstable, dysfunctional family upbringing. And that's something I definitely am working on and wanted to work on when I found my partner. And I'm glad I found you, because you are amazing, and I think we work great, and we are raising our family the right way.
The way that we want to.
Yes.
Next topic is things we would do differently, and I feel like we kind of touched on this. I allow my kids to have their own boundaries, I think. So for example, Eli is not a hugger, and I've come to realize this within honestly like the past 2 to 3 weeks. It just kind of dawned on me. But I've noticed every time we say bye, like, he does not. Roman is very like, bye. He'll go around the whole damn room, even if he knows
embraces
nobody.
Everybody.
And he'll give him a hug and a kiss. Eli does not like hugs. And everybody is always like, oh, are you gonna give me a hug and a kiss? And he just,
like, I don't know
and
you.
he'll kind of just,
yeah.
And so for me growing up, it was always like, okay, go give hugs, kisses, and I didn't really mind, but I want to kind of be the voice for him so far. And just like, if you don't want to give a hug and a kiss, you don't have to. Just say bye. That's one thing that I want to do differently. And then I just want to be tight and close within our own family. I want my kids to have a very close bond, which is why we had our kids 2 years apart roughly for each of them, except for CJ and this baby. They're going to be like 20 months apart. But I want to instill that importance of you protect your siblings at all costs. Don't let anybody outside of this family try to mess with them or bully them. Like, you are there for your brother. And I'm not trying to necessarily force that, but like,
it's not, I think it's just showing them the importance of having a brotherly family bond. Family is everything. And I know some people on my side, if they watch, will probably like, oh, you say that, huh? Some bridges had to be burned, unfortunately.
And some damage had already been done, whereas
prior.
we're trying to avoid said damage by allowing them to have their own opinions and feelings and thoughts.
Right.
This is the foundation.
Brand new foundation. We're starting here new, and we're gonna grow that into a healthy family bond.
If our children ever come to us with anything confidential, it's not for the whole family. Like if Eli comes to us about something personal going on in his life, I'm not going to go tell one of the other siblings.
Oh yes, right, yeah.
I just feel like trust is huge. I just want our kids to be able to trust us and know that when they come to us, it's going to not be spread around and it's going to stay here and safe, and your other siblings don't have to know.
It's the parent's job to not air out anybody else's dirty laundry.
Right.
Discipline.
Discipline. This is something that honestly, as parents, Antonio and I, we agree on a lot, but there are a few things where we're kind of like not on the same page. We do timeouts. I will say that.
Some people think it's a gentle parent style,
right,
which I get. Again, I didn't grow up with an easy upbringing. Got the belt, I got spoons, I've gotten whatever.
Locked up.
You know, locked up.
Not in jail.
But timeouts, they can be effective. There's ways to do them effectively, I feel. My discipline style is different from hers, I feel. You know, I think I'm a little bit more stern, strict. Or tough.
He's dad, though.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and I just feel like for most people, kids fear their dad more than they do mom, especially in our situation where I am home with them all the time, and daddy is home when he's off work or on the weekends. So I do feel like they listen to him more for sure, but it's also, you know, it's the deep voice. You kind of have more oomph to your
I notice things just naturally with me. I can say it just once or twice and they'll stop. But again, goes back to like just your upbringing and how you want to change and be different.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to have to yell all the time. I don't want every time to be like iron fist and my kids look back and, oh yeah, dad was always yelling. Mm-hmm. All the time. He always yelled at us. I never not knew my dad. Because what that did to me growing up, it was always afraid of anything with my dad.
And it wasn't respect, it was fear.
It was fear. It wasn't like, it was fear and respect, they're not the same, but you think you get respect because they fear you.
Right.
Fear, like, and I did fear my dad because, you know, he was unhinged at times. So I'm trying to move away from that and not do that. I have to correct myself. She has to correct me sometimes.
I just want to say that, in my opinion, timeout isn't just for the kid. I think that it's also for the adult to decompress, because while I do believe in spanking, I do not believe in spanking out of anger, if that makes sense, or in the heat of the moment, because that, in my opinion, that's abuse. And I know this is like a controversial topic. I don't believe in hitting your kid because you're done with them or you're pissed off.
You're
with
annoyed.
them.
They did something that pissed you off. They broke your glass cup. They spilled your coffee from Starbucks.
Right. And I feel like there's a lot more force.
Yeah, and it's wrong. It is wrong. Like, that's without a doubt, that's wrong. I don't care what anyone thinks out there. If my son came over here and dropped it's just water, but if he came over here and smacked it, it fell, it dented my cup, I'm not gonna smack the hell out of him. That's first off, yeah, it's abuse, because I'm just upset. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be mad regardless. I'm not saying don't get mad, like, you're gonna be mad. But have the self-control to control those feelings. Take a breath, step back, walk away. If you have a partner, handle this.
Next topic is different ages come with different challenges.
Some of the challenges are developmental. Some of the challenges are just, you know, the different stages of a baby transitioning into a toddler, and a toddler into the transition of a young boy. Roman just had his 6th birthday. He's a young boy. His challenges for me, it's still like his developmental speech delay,
which I'm going to make a video over because I've never really spoken much on this. Sorry, other camera died. We're now switching to the phone. Roman right now is at his easiest that he's ever been. Roman was a very high functioning, energetic, hyper kid between the ages of 2 and like early 4. He was a lot. As first time parents, that was really hard. But Eli, he's 3, gonna be 4 soon. And 3-nagers are a thing.
Yes.
They're 110% a thing.
Terrible twos is a thing, but sometimes you get it before.
We get
2.
it at like 18 months.
Say 18 months is that sweet mark for the last 2. It's just terrible.
What's your
Terrible.
least favorite age so far that we've had to deal with?
I'll be honest, terrible age right now is CJ.
I can attest to that too.
CJ is the worst age right now. Like, he's so sweet,
Yeah.
but it's when he starts getting that independency. So he starts walking, starts drinking his own juice and whatever, starts climbing, and now it's like he could take on the world, and he's just anywhere and everywhere
He's
climbing.
fast.
He wants to try to put things in the outlet. He's fast. He's so whiny. He whines a lot,
And he
but
can't
that's with
communicate.
any kid. A lot of kids whine, and if they don't do it exactly at 18, they're going to do it eventually. You're coming into that. It's unavoidable. Like, it's going to happen.
Yes. Right now at 6 and 3 years old, it is the rebuttal that I feel like we get from those 2 kids, from Roman and Eli. That's a challenge that we've come across. It's not so much Roman all the time. Roman's kind of in this tattletale stage, like where he's just like, Eli did this, Eli did that. We're just like,
Yeah, we're working on the challenges right now with Roman, as far as, since he's the oldest, is like understanding and just how we want him to be as a person and raise him. So, like, telling the truth, looking both ways, left and right. Eli is more of a briber. You got to bribe him.
Yes.
There you go. Works every time.
CJ is hard because we're slowly getting out of the not sleeping through the night stage. It's happening very, very slowly, but like that is the hardest. What has been the easiest stage so far? We kind of just answered this, but the newborn stage actually is the easiest.
Hands down.
And a lot of people, I feel, get stuck in that stage, especially first-time parents, because you're literally changing your whole lifestyle to now tend to this human that is completely dependent on you. You're losing out on sleep. I'm not a morning person. I used to sleep until like 10 a.m. and I haven't done that in 6 years. So, but the newborn stage is so easy. Poop, hungry, tired, uncomfortable, gas. That's
Always
literally
hungry.
it.
They
That's
sleep the
literally
best.
it.
They sleep the longest. It's the best time to get sleep.
But aside from like babies, Roman is at an awesome age right now, 6 years old. He just started kindergarten, but I feel like it's such an awesome age for us as parents because I can trust him to go play, and I don't have to worry about him falling or getting into an outlet, doing anything that could potentially harm himself. It is so nice to have that little bit of weight off of. How parenthood has affected our relationship / marriage. Every couple, when you have kids, will go through a really rough patch because you come from different families and you might have had different ways that you were raised, and I feel like we have definitely clashed on ways that we wanted to raise our boys. Nothing major, but just discipline was a big thing. I was raised with a sister and I had girl cousins, so I've never had to deal with boys before, and he has brothers, and kind of just understanding the dynamic. We're still kind of figuring out, but like what it takes to raise respectable men one day. 'Cause there's a lot of men out here that are just boys and aren't respectable. A lot of kids, and I don't want my kids to be like that. That kind of affected our marriage for a little bit because we had to get on the same page. But I feel like it's also made us like closer in a sense. Let's talk about the family you come from versus the family you create.
So for me, the family I've come from, like I said, dysfunctional, but love in their way. And you can't change that about someone. You can't, as a kid, train an adult and teach an adult how to love a kid properly. People are who they are. They're set in their ways. But as a kid, you understand when you get older, it's almost your norm. So when you see something that's out of your norm, it's like, that's weird, that's different. But then as you get older, you start realizing like the kind of person you want to be, the kind of relationship you want. Like, I knew I didn't want a dysfunctional family. I didn't want a wife who I hated. Everyone growing up for me was, at least the men, just a lot of them talked all the shit about their wife. Even still today, just with work, it's like men older, obviously like my parents' age or even older than that, still like oh man, I can't wait to get away from my wife, or can't do this, and I'm just like, what the heck? I don't want that. Why would you want that? And how long have you been with your wife? Oh, we've been married for 45 years. Don't worry, you'll get there. Like, no, sir. The second I get there, I won't be there. Like, we won't be in a relationship, because I'm not trying to have 45 years of talking shit about who I married, and I'm just with her because it is what it is. That's the life. So we're trying to create, in my words, like just the perfect life, the perfect family.
As perfect as as close as we can get to perfect.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Nothing's perfect, but it's like perfect to me is the compassion, showing love, empathy, understanding. Getting rid of toxic traits and generational toxicity. I had a hard time breaking that. I'm still breaking it, but it's day by day, and I've gotten a lot better. I want my kids to have a family that they're proud of. I want my kids to grow up proud and happy to have a mom like my wife, and to have a dad like me, and just talk the world of us to other people.
I feel like it's important to both him and I that our family comes first and not our now extended family. This is our immediate family that we have, and it comes first in every way. That even includes holidays. I remember, and I'm sure he remembers too, always having to go from house to house to house. For a while, we were going to 4 different families.
Yeah.
We'd have Christmas Eve with like my mom's side, and then we'd have Christmas morning with us, and then my mom, and then somehow we would either go to my dad's side and then end it with his grandparents' house. But then it got also dicey because then his dad was doing stuff. So it was like, where are we going? And it was like, when you have your own kids, you don't want to keep doing that to them. Like, okay, let's leave. Okay,
it's not the
let's
norm.
leave.
It's not the norm. Like, I don't want that to be their norm. It was my norm growing up. I hated it. I hated the holidays. I hated going back and forth, knowing like, okay, this house and this house and this house, all because either separate families or divorced families. So like both sides are divorced.
We both come from divorced families, by the way, in case that wasn't clear.
Right. So like your mom's separate, your dad's separate, my parents too.
It's a headache.
Like, oh, it's so much. So getting away from all that.
But that's pretty much it from the family we come from versus the family that we create. He hit a lot of points. Traditions that we have, we're still working on that. I think we want to take a trip once a year at least. So far we have been doing that.
Minimum once a year. I think the traditions that we're trying to start this year, what did we say, Christmas or New Year's? Like going somewhere for New Year's, right? Like going somewhere and then going into the new year, like already on vacation.
We're still kind of figuring that out, to be honest. But there are some holidays where we're like, we don't need to spend this with extended family. Like, let's just go and do our own thing.
The thing about traditions, I feel a lot of people do, and it's just because they grew up with it. Like, oh, we always go to my grandma's house. We always go here. We always do this. And it's not to break away, because that is a nice tradition. It is. But for me, I want to start my own family traditions. I want to have traditions with my kids. I don't want my kids and myself, because this is my family. When I wasn't with her, it was Nana's house, going here, going there. But now that I have my family,
and we have 4 kids going on.
And we have 4 kids going on, and I'm not trying to drag up everybody and go to like my dad's or my mom's. I don't want that to be the tradition. I want tradition to be something that we do as a family. So when my kids get older, they look back and say, oh, my dad and my mom, we would always do this. We always went here. Every Friday night was pizza night.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Fridays or Saturdays, we try to do either pizza or milkshakes with the kids.
Yeah, and then a movie.
Yes. So it's kind of backtracking, but I hated as a kid waking up on Christmas morning or maybe even Christmas Eve and getting something that I really wanted, but then I can only play with it for 5 minutes because now I gotta go to Dad's house. And that's one of those things where like materialistic things are not all that. I just kind of wish that I had gotten to stay put and play for like 16 hours.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, because you'd get something so cool, so fun, but it's okay, here's all your cool gifts, but don't touch them, don't open them, because we gotta go to your mom's or your grandma's and then your cousins, and it's just why.
I would like if my kids could just enjoy themselves for the day. And then our last topic is there ever a right time to become a parent? Because
A lot of people want to get themselves financially right first, which is not bad. Like, I think you definitely should be able to financially support a kid. However, I don't think anything will ever prepare you to become a parent. I really don't.
Nothing will prepare you. I will say you need to just have a decent job. With kids comes a lot of hospital visits, so good insurance. Kids should change you for the better. It shouldn't be looked at as a burden. It shouldn't be looked at as debt. It should make you want to be a better person. When I had my kids, I knew I had to just keep moving up. It was finding a better job, finding the better insurance, which I'm thankfully glad I have, and then finding the better house that'll house all of us, that'll let us grow into for the next 15, 20 years, probably even longer, honestly, with what we got. But there's never really a right time, but there is a right time, I'd say. Like, you shouldn't have a kid if you're working at McDonald's. You know, like, if that's your main job, you shouldn't have a kid. But if you have a decent job and it's just you and your wife and you both work, have a kid.
I think you should be in a mentally sound state of mind. While I don't think there's any specific age that makes it being a right time, I think that you should be in the right state of mind. Like, you shouldn't be depressed, you shouldn't be on drugs, like any of that.
Kids will not fix your problem.
They won't.
If that's too, like, if you're in a relationship
and you're going through it,
and you're thinking a kid will fix it, that is the worst thing you can do. Don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just,
we didn't, and I'm so glad we didn't.
Kids are not something to fix problems like that, because if anything, all it's going to do is add more stress to you.
And have them if both of you are okay with it. If one of you is like freaking out, I don't think it's good.
This goes back to the last video, but discuss your guys' expectations with how big of a family do you want? Do we want a big family? Do we want a boy and a girl? Or do we just want 2 kids or just 1 kid? Some people are fine with 1 kid. It's because they can give them the world, which is great.
But it could change, because I only wanted 2 kids and now here we are having 4. And then I was like, we're not having more than 3.
I was fine with, I was fine with 2, but then having the 2 boys, I'm like, I could do the 3rd one. The 3rd one, let's go. Got that one. I'm like, you know what? We need to have another one, because now there's just going to be that 3rd one. Number. It's an odd number. Yeah. Someone's going to be left out, but at least with 4 kids, now we're a family of 6, which is crazy to say. So no one's left out. We're all together. We're all having fun. So back on track. Is there ever a right time to become a parent?
Not really.
Not really. Life comes at you. You adapt. You overcome. That's it.
I think that's everything that we wanted to talk about, all the points that we wanted to hit. If you guys have any similar experiences or topics that you want to talk about regarding parenthood, please let me know down in the comments. Thank you, babe, again for coming back to the channel. We'll probably do kind of a few videos on this the more that we kind of talk about things, but without further ado, we will see you in the next one. Bye.